But my beats, they are hard.
All right. Hello. Good evening. Welcome to the ninth season of the beginning of the ninth season, I should say, of the BCSN SportsWrap. A.D. Drew and Brian Fulford here. And it's our pleasure to be able to come on the air and talk about all things related to HBCU sports, as we like to do, recapping the past week and looking forward to the week ahead. Drew, how you doing?
Doing fine, my brother. Would we be considered a blue blood of HBCU podcasts?
I would think so. We've been around long enough.
We have the longevity.
We do have the longevity.
We have the awards, as you can see in the upper right hand
awards. Yeah, we got the awards. And we were doing something before it was even called podcasting. We were uploading to the internet and making our streams available before it was even podcasting.
Right. So,
significance, historical significance.
Yeah, the historical significance of what we do, national recognition. And the national recognition part comes in, Brian. I'm pretty sure you get this also, but especially when we're at HBCU events and you have people who walk up to you and tell you that, hey, how you doing, Brian? And you have no idea who they are until they tell you that they watch you on one show or another that you frequently appear on. So I think that's pretty good, man.
It is. And we are certainly appreciative and thankful to all of the people who consume our show on a weekly basis, however you consume it. We try to put it in as many places as possible. Of course, primarily on the Jericho Broadcast Network's YouTube page, My JBN Online, the Black College Sports Network Facebook page, our own BCSN SportsWrap Facebook page. You can find it on Twitter. Instagram Live is back up and working again. And and so, and then, of course, those of you who have become recent downloaders and subscribers to the BCSN Pod Zone, that is why we have the best Black sports podcast, according to Million Podcasts. So it's all of you who download, subscribe, rate, and review the BCSN Pod Zone on all of your favorite podcast platforms. That's why we received that honor. So thank you to each and every one of you. And I'm excited about season number 9. We haven't been doing like episode numbers like Doc, but I don't know. What would you give our numbers if we were doing something like that? Where would our numbers be?
Let's see. At least one show a week per week for 8 years, Brian. That's 400 right there, give or take. And we had some weeks, especially early in our run, where we were on twice a week, and of course we've missed some weeks also. So I would say the low 4s would be a good number for us.
Okay, yeah, I think Doc doing the 2 days a week thing is where he gets us.
Oh,
but we do our
and 3 days doing football.
Right, but we get our 2 to 3 hours in in one day. So
Yeah,
there you go.
hours wise, we're probably about the same time wise on your device, but episode wise, Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab blows us away.
Right. Let's get going here because we've got a loaded show for you. Besides just talking about some of the hot topics that have been happening over the course of the week, you've got football camps. Pretty much everybody's football camp, I believe, is open now, so everyone is back and practicing.
FCS, I think Division Twos begin this week. A lot of Division Twos.
Oh wow!
So if they didn't begin this weekend,
start yet. Okay.
Yes.
Oh wow! Didn't know that. So that's occurring. A few interesting preseason topics to kind of touch on. Of course, we are. Let me see. Looking at the calendar, Drew. 20 days. Is it 20 days away from the cricket MEAC-SWAC challenge on Saturday, August 23rd. So that's literally right about less than 3 weeks. 3 weeks from yesterday.
20 days, 1 hour and 21 minutes.
Nice. So with that said, coming up at the bottom of this hour, we're going to talk to the executive director himself, Mr. John Grant. And so he will be gracing us with his presence at the bottom of hour one. And then, of course, we're going to finally answer the question that so many people have been talking about over the last 72 hours. And that is simply, are you a blue blood? We're going to answer that question. And as you see my handle, this is facts over feelings, Drew. Because, when you get into these kind of conversations with storied programs, man, feelings come up. And my father told me a long time, Drew, you cannot make good decisions with feelings involved. So we will do our best to answer the question that so many of you have been pontificating about and putting schools in tiers and all this other thing. Are you a blue blood? And we'll answer the question with data, Drew. We'll answer the question with data.
And Bryan, I am happy that someone else came up with a list or a topic that broke the internet this week besides you and I, because I think we did it for like 2 or 3 weeks consecutive with our topics. And then Carlos did it prior to that with his topic. And, Steve's been doing a good job over there at HBCU Game Day with his topics. So I'm glad somebody else is deciding to get into this game. But once again, Bryan, what are we doing? We setting trends, putting it out there, letting it go all over social media. And this is the first time that we get to respond to somebody else's topic to tell you how right or how wrong they were.
Exactly. We get a chance to respond to somebody.
We get a chance to beat up on somebody else instead of y'all beating up on us. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm still waiting to kind of figure out the actual source of the whole Blue Bloods. It just, it's one of those things that's very strange, because if you trace it back to the original tweet, and I think the original tweet, I still don't know who exactly the person is that tweeted it. And there's no identifiable marks on the graphic. So you really you can't say, oh, these guys, like when we did the rankings thing, we put our name on it so everyone could come after us if they wanted to, right? But I don't know who, nobody took credit for this. And obviously there's some interesting omissions about that list and so on and so forth. But, needless to say.
And Steve is correct. The graphic was Chat GPT generated, because they got Bethune-Cookman all the way wrong on.
Oh, is that how you figured it out? Hold on, let me go to it here.
If you look at it, that's the only team that's not represented.
Oh, yeah. The under tier 2, if you look at the logo I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what that under under PV was. I didn't know what that was. I didn't know that was
even that PV is terrible.
Yeah, exactly. PV is kind of new. Everything else kind of was kind of on
Texas
on
Southern.
point.
Texas Southern is like,
Yeah, Texas Southern is a little odd. I don't know.
It's a little odd.
Yeah.
Everybody else is pretty spot on. But
yeah, it's
three.
It's pretty good.
Oh, where's the U on Central?
Oh, NCC. Yeah, I guess so. See. All right. Well, you know what? I'm exactly. It's just CC. I don't know. There's no B in there anywhere. Okay. But that's the one thing I'm fascinated with, and I've never been able to kind of figure out with the whole Chat GPT. And I applaud those who have mastered doing AI graphics, because
Ryan, put that
I've tried doing AI graphics and they have been a pain in the ass. So, yeah, you guys are picking up all kinds of docs.
Put that back up. I want to see the snake. I didn't catch the snake.
You know what? I noticed it. I was trying to ignore it. The snake. Yeah. It's not a bad looking. I've seen
worse.
My Florida license plate tag has a worse snake than that. So I've seen worse snakes. Yeah, and now I look at the I'm you know what? It's funny. Now that you guys have brought all this up, I'm seeing all kinds of stuff now. Look at the TSU logo. The TSU logo. That looks, I don't know what kind of cat that is. How did nobody come up? How did nobody figure this out beforehand? The two most accurately looking logos are three. You got the Grambling logo, the Jackson State logo, the Southern logo, and the North Carolina A&T. That's probably in Alabama A&M. Those are the ones that kind of look Alcorns. Those are the ones that look probably the most right. But yeah, the ones that are off are just kind of
and leave it as that.
Yes, exactly. And how far on this level would you throw North Carolina A&M? Exactly. So, and I haven't quite mastered how to get good AI graphics. So, I don't know. But,
the AI, you get the layout from AI, and then you Photoshop the real graphic on top of it.
You might as well just go into Canva and make the doggone thing, if anything. But oh well. Thank you to everybody for jumping in early. Looking forward to the conversation that we're bound to have on this. But let's get into a few news topics or just some different things to catch up on the week, Drew, before we get into talking with John Grant. What?
I would say I think Steve was answering one of our questions about where this list came from.
Oh, okay. I was watching. I must have missed that because I was watching his Verified Sources podcast earlier this morning. By the way, Steve, I love the reference about self-destruction. That was so on point. Talking about, and it was related to this, Drew. It was related to this, the HBCU for us. Yes, the new coalition that was created as of a few days ago. The release, you guys mentioned it on Doc's show the other day. Of course, the commissioners of the four NCAA conferences comprised of historically Black colleges and universities announced the creation of the HBC for us. And I want to correct something because I think I've heard a lot of people say HBCU for us, but no, it's HBC for us. So there's no extra U here, people. So we got to make sure that we are correct in that. Hold on the messages here for a second, Drew. We'll come back to those people in a second. The HBC for us. I think I've even said it wrong. HBCU for us. No, it's HBC for us is the association, right? Established July 30th. Of course, comprised of the commissioners, Sonia Steele of the MEAC, Dr. Charles McClellan of the SWAC, Jackie McWilliams-Parker of the CIAA, and Anthony Holloman of the SIAC. These conference commissioners will serve as the gatekeepers of HBCU athletics, providing a unified voice and strategic direction for the four conferences. The mission is to ensure the growth, visibility, sustainability of HBCU athletics by focusing on student athlete leadership and development, preservation of cultural heritage, competitive excellence, financial sustainability and partnership, unified advocacy, holistic student athlete welfare. All right. The biggest question I think that's come out of this, Drew, because a lot of people are asking it. A lot of people don't really know. There's a lot of generalities. I think a lot of people are guessing. A lot of people are hoping what comes out of it. And I don't know if I mean, that's all we can do because we don't have specifics, right? This is, I think what the statement originally was the framework. Now, I'm sure later they will give you more specifics and you'll start to see more specifics. But from just the framework, Drew, have you had any additional nuanced thoughts about the framework since you guys first talked about this on Thursday's show?
Well, this is actually formalizing what these four commissioners decided to do. What was it, like 2 years ago, when they all decided that they were forming a partnership and alliance to strategically approach some of the ideas. And that was more so that they could attack things on a legislative level. So this is just formalizing it. This is no different than what you saw done with the Ivy League schools and the SEC and the ACC schools that were aligned academically, especially in today's political climate, being proactive and strategizing how to deal with some of the things that were coming out of the White House as far as potential budget cuts, financial aid, issues related to DEI and everything else because of the current administration in Washington, D.C. So you saw, like when they attacked Harvard, when the White House attacked Harvard and all the other schools came to support Harvard with their endeavors there. So this is nothing no different than that, except they have formalized it. Now, a couple questions that I have. Who is going to run this? Because each of these four commissioners by themselves have enough on their plate just handling the institutions within their own conference. And then they have their bosses within their conference, the presidents and chancellors of those respective institutions. So will we see later on an executive director of this alliance to be able to handle the day-to-day grind? Because none of these four commissioners independently can handle the day-to-day grind that they may need. Will they be hiring lobbyists? Will they be hiring marketing experts? Different things like that to try to attack certain things to create the business alliances that they're going to need. So that's one major question that I have with this, and I know these answers will come for a while. Also, given this DEI climate that we have, was this the best thing for us to formalize this, Bryan? What do I mean? We've seen, especially companies that deal with the government, and then some of these companies that also deal with minority minority businesses, minority institutions, and how the government slows down payments or slows down contracts when you do things that are favoring Black and brown people, for lack of a better words, Brian. So would this ultimately affect some of those partnerships that some of these conferences already have? Now, on the positive side, Brian, I think one good thing that's going to come out of this, if this is as transparent as it's supposed to be, is the janky promoters. Y'all better watch out, because now these people will be talking to each other. What do I mean by that? Hey, institution A is asking 500 to go play in this classic. Now I can get institution, but I'm playing institution B against them where I can get them in for 275. Don't you think that now, hopefully with this, they'll be talking to each other like, nah, he going to get you for 275 because he couldn't get me for 500. And don't you also think, hey, you better watch yourself over there, because promoter 3 over there, he be that 120 don't mean nothing to him. You know, we wound up having to get the attorneys involved to get our payment for this particular said game. So those conversations are going to hopefully clean up the promotion game when it comes to our HBCU sports.
That's a good one. I think those are valid thoughts. I also think, as it relates to sharing ideas, for example, noticing how the CIA's network was sort of mirrored by the SIAC network. I don't know. I'm not going to say that the SWAC necessarily followed those two conferences, but we know the SWAC did pull in ideas from major conferences within Division I, namely the SEC, right?
Correct.
So that could benefit the MEAC. That could benefit the SIC and the CIAA, because a sharing of ideas is very formal now. You know, yes, Steve, we know that CIAA network was first. Props to them for being there first, being out in front. But it also will be interesting to see how they, and speaking of that, it kind of, I don't want to jump off of the HBC for us, because I noticed SWAC TV was official. You could officially stream them off of Roku, Apple TV, YouTube. I downloaded it on my Fire Stick and my Roku TV, and I noticed differences in the interface, and I'm kind of curious, you guys who have already downloaded. Well, first off, have you downloaded?
And if you haven't, why not?
Yes. If you haven't downloaded, why not? But if you have downloaded, I'm curious, which platforms have you downloaded it? Have you so if you guys are in the comments, drop a note and let us know which platforms have you downloaded it. But I noticed a little bit of the differences between just the Roku and Fire Stick. And I think it does open up the door. I was, and this is my last little comment. I just happened to be watching something Saturday night on ESPN, and it goes back to, remember when ESPN did the College Football 150, they did a bunch of different series. Well, one of the series had to do with the SEC, and it was sort of a look back at the SEC run that started in the mid 2000s or early 2000s. and just their run. And it was an interest. It was like an 8 or 9 part series. And you know what? I was sitting there thinking, man, I would love to see a SWAC series on, SWAC football in the 80s, right as the boom in what am I thinking here? Not just the television, but also some of the big names that started to pop out in the 80s. The Jerry Rice and other big names that were starting to get national attention and be drafted and make big names and big waves for themselves. I think there's some interesting stories, so look, all of those collaborative efforts will be helpful. And then I had a good friend I was talking to remind me about the purpose of college in the first place, right? The purpose of college is education. So if the HBC for us can improve the educational lives of student athletes, that too, I think, is another positive angle that I think this whole coalition could strive to do something great for its member institutions. So there's a lot of possibilities that could happen. I think it's an exciting time for the conferences. And so I look forward to seeing what they have in store. I'm not going to sit here and try to speculate. I think, you did a good job of kind of breaking it down, Drew. And I don't want to get into trying to figure out what does it mean. Let's not figure out what it means just yet. Let's just know that the framework is there, just like any house. If you're building a house, you got to start by clearing the land, putting down the foundation, and then building it up. So let's allow them to kind of build up. All right. Let's go ahead and take our first break as we get ready to roll. Coming up on the other side, we have the executive director of the Cricket MEAC-SWAC Challenge, Mr. John Grant, is going to join us.
Got the kickoff.
I'm sorry. Where does kickoff fall? MEAC-SWAC Challenge kickoff?
Cricket MEAC-SWAC Challenge kickoff.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Yes. So Mr. Grant will be joining us coming up on the other side of this break. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
History? Yeah, we built that. Pride? We fuel that. And on August 30th, we run that. 2 powerhouse HBCUs, Howard Bison, FAMU Rattlers, one legendary showdown under the Miami lights at Hard Rock Stadium. The energy unmatched. The culture undeniable. The vibes straight HBCU. 2025 Invesco QQQ Orange Blossom Classic. Get your tickets and book your hotel now at orangeblossomclassic.com. Saturday, August 30th at 4 p.m. in Miami Gardens.
HBCU football fans, the Cricket MEAC-SWAC Challenge Kickoff is celebrating 20 years this August. From Birmingham to Orlando to campus sites and now in Atlanta. The Cricket MEAC-SWAC Challenge Kickoff has been a mainstay in HBCU athletics. 2 decades of providing a national platform on ESPN and now ABC for the finest HBCU programs in the country and some of the most talented players and coaches that have represented them. Forrest Jackson, Tariq Cohen, Javon Hargrave, Darius Leonard, Rod Broadway, Buddy Pugh, all have left their mark on this storied event. This year, we celebrate by welcoming North Carolina Central and Southern to Atlanta, which has cemented its place as the HBCU football capital. Every team who participates in this event looks to start and finish their season in the A by gaining a spot in the Cricket Celebration Bowl. That, however, is earned by becoming conference champions. And it starts right here in Week 0. MEAC versus SWAC. The rivalry is real. Thank you for the last 20 years of support. The story never ends.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Brian Fulford, A.D. Drew here, and it's a pleasure to have on the show none other than the executive director of the Cricket Wireless MEAC-SWAC Challenge Kickoff, Mr. John Grant. I got it right, Mr. Grant. I got it right.
I'm Bryan, A.D. Thank you guys for having me today.
Good to be on with you. Thanks for taking time out tonight to come on and talk with us. Of course, the 20th year of the game that kicks off the HBCU football season. 20 years is quite a journey. Quite a journey. I've had the pleasure of being in some spaces with you as far as maybe 8-something years ago. At some Bowl Alliance events. And I'd like for you to kind of, as you reflect on 20 years of the journey of this event, share some of the journey of this event, because it definitely has had different locations. Obviously started in Birmingham, then it moved to Orlando, moved on campus, moved to Atlanta. But I think behind the scenes is fascinating of how this event was able to stay alive and, more importantly, get to a point where it is now a major television event to kick off the college football season on a Saturday evening.
Well, great question. And there certainly has been a story journey for this event. And, you know, as you indicated, starting in Birmingham in 2005, it was in Birmingham for 3 years before moving to Atlanta. And while in Orlando, the Walt Disney Company became the title sponsor of the event for a number of years. And in around 2015, as you know, we launched the Cricket Celebration Bowl. The game was really designed, the Cricket MEAC-SWAC Challenge Kickoff, that game was really designed to create kind of a bold experience for the champions from the MEAC and the SWAC, but except it would be even. So we had all the elements of a bowl experience, multiple days in the city, multiple events that were taking place around it, and it sort of evolved to, as we indicated in 2015, ESPN in partnership with the two conferences, the MEAC and the SWAC, launched the Celebration Bowl. Initially, the Air Force, before cricket became the title sponsor in 2020 for both events. So the game sort of then began to shift a little bit because a lot of the focus for that event was now being handled during the actual Celebration Bowl, which was crowning the champion. And feedback we were getting from athletic directors and even from some coaches who were trying to start the season were indicating to us that it was too many days, that they really wanted to focus on trying to get a rhythm for their players and wanted it to become more of a business trip than it was a celebration of football as it was. So around 2000, as you indicated, 2016, it left Orlando, was on the campus of Bethune-Cookman, and then in 2017 was on the Southern University. At that point, there was conversations around what would happen to the event because of the continued growth of the Celebration Bowl. And so in consultation with ESPN and the conferences, the decision was made, and we asked, hey, let's move it to Atlanta, and we would couple it with the Celebration Bowl, with the whole theme now that the season would begin in Atlanta and would end in Atlanta, played on Labor Day weekend, Sunday of Labor Day weekend. And the first 2018, we had like a noon kickoff, and my friends, noon in Atlanta in August is like noon in Atlanta in Orlando. It was hot. So the idea then was, let's try to move the time back. It was First year was on ESPN2. It moved to ESPN, and we moved it till around 3. And then in 2023, we were able to get it on ABC in prime time at 7. First year was 7 o'clock. Last year moved to 7:30. So now we're settled in at a 7:30 time slot on ABC.
All right. All right. Well, yeah, and this has definitely been a great progression. Is this when you look at the work that you have done, what are you most proud of over the 20 years as you reflect on the journey of organizing this event?
I think there are two things, Brian, and that is a great question. One is the impact that the MEAC-SWAC challenge from its launch to now has had on what is happening in the entire diaspora, because we have seen a lot of evolution as a part of that. Something as much as with the SWAC conferences launching SWAC TV, etc. Those are a part of evolutions that are taking place, and what it means to start a season in a place with a big game. The second thing I think is to get the game in prime time on Saturday night, because now the kickoff game, the Cricket MEAC-SWAC Challenge kickoff, is the second most watched game in week 0, on the Saturday week 0 there are 7 games played that date, and it is the second most watched game on that date. The most watched game for the last 2 years has been played internationally. 2023 was Notre Dame and Air Force in Ireland, was Georgia Tech and Florida State in Ireland. So therefore, then this game became the most watched game played on American soil, which is huge when you think about, for an FCS conferences opening college football, to have the second most watched game that day speaks volumes to the power. And first, it speaks volumes to the commitment for ESPN to put the time slot in, to put it on ABC, but not only that, then to give all the support necessary. I mean, we're going to have up to 8 cameras for this game, and we have had Skycam, everything from a high level production, which requires a significant investment on behalf of ESPN for this. I think speaks volumes to, first, ESPN's commitment, but secondly, to the impact that having a game like this means for all HBCUs, because it does put us in a strong position as we open the season.
Great point. And I'm going to underscore it and say it's a great reminder that our heritage and the heritage of our programs is just as strong, if not stronger, than those programs that travel overseas. There's a reason why they travel overseas, right? But don't let it be underscored that the ABC ESPN recognizes the value in our heritage and the history of our schools, institutions, and athletic football programs to the bigger picture. So I can't underscore it enough, everybody. If we want you to be in Atlanta, but if you're not going to be in Atlanta, we definitely want your eyes watching, streaming, however it is, this game on Saturday. No doubt. Go ahead, Drew.
Greens once again, John. How's everything going with you?
Wonderful. We're excited. We're 3 weeks out right now, so we've got our head down. We're working on creating a top level experience for fans, not only who come, but fans who watch, and more importantly, also for the student athletes, which will open on this grand stage.
All right. Let's go back to the beginning. You weren't there, obviously, as director in the beginning, but can you refresh everybody's memory on how the MEAC-SWAC Challenge even came about?
Oh, very good question. So it started with Commissioner Dennis Thomas and Commissioner Robert Vowles meeting in Atlanta, ESPN events leader Pete Dursis, and they spent an hour all day in a hotel room in Atlanta, educating the ESPN side on the HBCUs, HBCU culture, the history, the whole 9 yards. Out of that meeting, there became a commitment to launch this game. Now, also simultaneously in that year, launched ESPNU. So the MEAC and the SWAC were the first conferences to sign on in a conference agreement with ESPNU, and the MEAC-SWAC Challenge debuted on ESPNU, which was a new network for ESPN at the time.
Well, there's your little known history fact for everybody who did not know that the MEAC-SWAC Challenge was the first game that was broadcast on ESPNU. So now let's fast forward 20 years, John. Obviously, anybody who's been around this has seen the tremendous work that has been done around this game. But I want you to go past this 20th game, although it's important, and let's project out, say, 5 years from now, and where could this game be at in 5 years?
It's a trick question for me. He sound like he's trying to put me in a trick bag here or something, but
no, wouldn't want to do that from a fan's perspective. From a fan's perspective, what can
that's a good question, AD, and you guys are asking some great questions. Let me tell you how we approach this, and we approach this with our team. We do everything we can today. That if we are creating the best experiences today for fans, if we're creating the best experiences, and that's fans who attend, the same thing if we create world class and the best experiences for the student athletes, and we create a world class experience for the people who tune in to watch, 5 years will take care of itself. So we don't try to look down the road and over. If you would have asked me in 2018, would I have imagined that in 2021 we would have had College Game Day, Good Morning America, First Take, College Football Live, all right here in Atlanta, opening up college football with the MEAC-SWAC Challenge? I probably would have told you no. I couldn't have imagined it because we were still just trying to get it, make sure that it was a foundation. If you had asked me, 5 years ago, do you think that the game would be in prime time, Saturday Night Live as a part of ESPN's Saturday Night College Football Live on ABC? Probably would not have seen that, but here we are. So to answer, the direct answer to your question really comes back to, are we doing everything we can today? Because 5 years from now, the sky, we have really no idea what it will be. But we do know that we are going to work diligently. I mean, with all focus and effort to make sure that this year, when fans buy their tickets this year, it's going to be better than last year.
All right. Speaking of fans buying tickets this year, before I turn it back over to Bryan, talk about the fan experience for this 2025 game. Those and let's be real. We know when it comes to HBCU football, sometimes more fans are outside than inside. So let's talk about the outside and what they can expect outside, but why we also need to get you on the inside also.
Well, let me start with this picture you see behind me. I don't think there are a lot of people outside for this. So you take a good look here. You see out stadium. And what, again, it comes back to what are the experiences you're creating. So at this year's Coca-Cola fan experience, what we also work on is making sure we're providing an experience that people won't have when they go anywhere else. That there are things that we are going to be doing that's different, because every place has its uniqueness. You go to the Magic City Classic, their tailgate is and tailgating and corporate activation is unique. The Bayou Classic is unique to the Southern Heritage Classic, unique to the classic down in Texas that Al puts on, um, the State Fair Classic. You know, every place has its uniqueness. What we want to make sure we provide here is what I'll call an elevated experience, so that there are things that when you come here you won't see anyplace else, and that's what we you know we're working on. One of that's the centerpiece of what we do is we have a band the a band jamboree with two high schools facing off with each other, and then the two college bands face off pregame. Fans can get up close and personal, and these bands go back and forth in a jamboree style in a pregame effort. So, not really, there aren't places where you can go and get that, where you can really be up close and engage uh, as they, you know, do provide for fans a pregame taste of what's going to happen inside the game. And of course, we're going to have the usual things: the food, the music, the engagement of fans, activations, corporate and otherwise, and an environment. You know, we have a very high end vendor area, vendor village, as we call it, so that people can go, you can buy your merchandise, etc. And we vet every vendor to top level quality merchandise. So that's not something you as a fan have to worry about. We do that on the front end. So make sure you get there early, because the other part is you don't want to get caught in the Atlanta traffic trying to get to the game at game time. So you don't want that. Let me repeat that again. You don't. So fan experience opens at 3 o'clock. We go until 7. Gates open. Gates open at 6 to let people into the stadium. We do a number of things. If it's hot in Atlanta, we provide cooling areas, tents with refreshments that are free. Fans can get in to get out of the heat. They can sit, have a good time, and talk and commune. We provide those areas, but we know it's not going to be hot for us in Atlanta this year. I'm knocking on wood, as you can see. Um, but it's a wonderful experience. You have to come and be a part of it to recognize what we're saying.
And also out there, I believe the BCSN Game Time show will be part of the pregame festivities also, for those of you all who want to meet some of the members of the Black College Sports Network live and in person. Before I give it to Brian, there's a question from the chat, and I think Brian was probably going to add something similar to this, John. Is it possible we will have another challenge next season when all FCS HBCUs will play in the new week 1 that comes from Lawrence? And weren't you going to add something similar to that, Brian?
Yeah, I guess my question had to do with the fact that FCS moving to a 12-game schedule. How will that affect, or in what way will that affect the quote unquote week 0 future schedules, or will what is now week 0 become actually week 1?
Well, in terms of for the Cricket MEAC-SWAC Challenge and our part of what we're doing, we don't see that as impact. As a matter of fact, we welcome the fact that FCS programs, especially with the MEAC and the SWAC, get an opportunity to play an additional game. Now, whether that game, what type of game that will be, we don't know. I mean, that'll be obviously what schools are sort of looking for, where they make those money games, etc. We don't know, because they aren't playing that weekend unless they get some exceptions. Again, going back to Drew's earlier question, what we're obligated to do is provide an experience, a stage, and a platform that is unique to any other game that occurs. That this is the stage you want to be on. The other thing for us is, we have the matchup set out through 2029, so we know, and we're excited about each and every one of them that is committed to be a part of this. But that's a great question.
I don't want to get folks excited about future matchups when we got a good matchup staring us right in the face.
Yeah.
You know, some people have already started ranking the two schools like 2 and 3 in the nation. You know, I'm not gonna go there, but I mean, there's a high expectation that these two teams will have an opportunity to be back in Atlanta. So that is a positive for this week or for this game. The fact that North Carolina Central is already a MEAC favorite, Southern is a SWAC favorite. Both schools getting national recognition and love off the bat. So that adds to the excitement right off the bat. And yes, I have to, because we have wonderful MEAC viewers, we have to remind people the SWAC was 3-1 last year in these games. Not just this game, but amongst all MEAC-SWAC football games last year. So I just want to kind of put that out there. You know, I have to raise the flag for the SWAC now, Mr. Grant. You know, for a long time I used to raise the flag for the MEAC, but you know, I gotta ride with my school now that we are SWAC. Yes, everybody, we are SWAC. So I gotta raise the flag for the SWAC.
Well, you know, Brian, let me interject if you don't mind. You raise a good point, and the beautiful thing about this is, you know, the rivalry becomes real when you have a competitive balance in the competition, and for a number of years it was lopsided. I mean, the MEAC was winning all of the games, but I think what we've been able to do is, as a matter of fact, I know what we've been able to do. A couple things have happened by putting the right matchups together. That's number one. And then number two, quite frankly, the SWAC just playing better football now. And so they've raised the level of football that they're playing, and that's great on both sides. So now you have an equally balanced opportunity. So with coming up, as Jay Walker said in the press conference, look, North Carolina Central was one game away from being in the Cricket Celebration Bowl last year. Southern was one game away from being in the Cricket Celebration Bowl last year. So you literally have the two runner-ups who were right at the door, knocking on the door to come and compete in a national championship, now opening the season this year with high rankings coming out of both conferences and rankings by others that are looking at them as well.
Let me see, Drew, were there any other? I saw there might have been a couple other interesting questions that you starred. So I'll let you gather them here in a second. But I want to ask Mr. Grant a question regarding being in those rooms with other bowls, because I've been in that Bowl Alliance conventions in the spring, and it's amazing. Look, I love college football. I grew up paying attention to how college football revered bowl season. So being there amongst, meeting you, but also being there amongst people who run the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Fiesta, the Sun Bowl, you know, those major bowls that have long story tradition. And we understand the Celebration Bowl going into its 10th year, 20th year for the MEAC-SWAC Challenge kickoff. What are some of those conversations like recently versus maybe 10, or I'll even say 5, 10, 15 years ago, when you were just getting this and these events and bowls off the ground? What are those conversations like? Because we are now I say we, I feel like a part of this, but the MEAC-SWAC Challenge, the Cricket Celebration Bowl. No, thank you. Look, I mean, it's one of, I would say, one of the top 10 or 15 bowls in the 40-something bowl system. So, and I bet there's probably a lot of people who didn't think that was possible.
Well, you're correct in that. And, you know, things happen and you come a long way. I mean, the first year that I went to the bowl season, we were not an official member because the bylaws required you to be an FBS bowl in order to attend as a registrant. So I had to register through other bowl games to get my registration to attend the meeting, go on. But then during the business meetings, I had to leave the room because we were not an official member. And we're thankful for the fact that along the way we had some developed some great relationships, some good support, that in 2017 the Bowl Association members who run the other bowls, those who the members are, came together and actually bylaws that to allow in the year 2018 that the Celebration Bowl, then the Celebration Bowl, would become an official member of the Bowl Season Association. And then they closed the door behind that there would be no other FCS bowl allowed. So we were able to get in. Now that was the game changer. Let me say that with all sincerity, because what that did for us, it gave us established credibility in the system. So that the questions that I had to answer in the early years when the bowl schedules would come out, etc., Celebration Bowl's name was not listed. We were not a part of the bowl system. But by 2018, when the schedules began to come out and they would put out releases and stories on bowls, etc., I mean, the Celebration Bowl, just because we're the first game of the season. That is the place where the shift really took hold and established within the system the credibility for this game. Now, the results that were delivered also enhanced that, because I don't think anyone would have expected that an FCS bowl would be in the mix with, and then we could accomplish what we've accomplished in that, in terms of, these games are measured by total live audience, which is viewership and attendance combined. Total live audience is what matters, especially in media and television. We have historically, Bryan and A.D., because we weren't televised, we measured our games by attendance. And I can tell you that if you look at last year, which was came in at 1.3 million, it peaked at 1.7 million. There isn't a venue in the world that can hold that many people. So
right.
your audience and viewership is what drives the larger revenue. And you have a different conversation with sponsors when you are able to talk about total live. So when we talk about Celebration Bowl and we talk about 2.4, 2.5 million people, that's different than having a conversation where you're talking about 50,000.
Yes. Yep.
So therein lies where we are today, and the respect that we have inside the bowl system is recognized by everybody. And when I say everyone from all the way up to and including the college football playoff champion, Rich Clark, who now runs that game, is a big fan and supporter and acknowledges what the value that the Celebration Bowl has in the bowl ecosystem.
Beautiful. Well, congratulations on that and being a part of that. And like I said, it's for me personally, it's very cool and neat to see that journey, because I remember being there in those years that you mentioned and being in that room, and then coming out of that room whenever I would see. And I would hope a lot of you guys did the same things. Whenever you would see, and we all listen, a lot of us listen to sports radio, and when we see them talk about bowls, I would quickly and make sure to remind the local host that, oh, no. The first bowl game is the Celebration Bowl. Make sure y'all put some respect on that being the first bowl game, because it is on ABC. It's not on, you can see it live. So that is pretty cool. Drew, any questions, or did you find anything? I know people have been hitting up a lot of different comments along with some other messiness in the chat room, but
not a mess. But I have been able to decipher two excellent questions, and both of these come from Michael Road Dog Reed, Mr. Grant. So I'm just gonna pop them on the screen and read them aloud. Number one, have there been any thoughts of a MEAC-SWAC basketball challenge during the week of the Celebration Bowl, as a pass the torch from one sport to the next, all in one weekend?
Good question. If I can just say, Road Dog, very good question. But the answer to that is no. That's been tried before. If you recall, the Chick-fil-A, they were doing a basketball event same weekend with the SEC, ACC of the Chick-fil-A Bowl. And in talking, looking and studying that, we have looked at it or thought about it. But in looking at it and assessing what went right, what went wrong, and getting feedback from them, if we're going to grow this game and grow the bowl game into what we believe can be our Super Bowl, it is that already. But I'm talking about at the level that it can be, then we need to do that, especially during that weekend. We need to make sure we're focusing 100% on doing that, which is what the lesson learned from the Chick-fil-A Bowl that they share with us, which as a result of them making the pivot, they're now a part of the college football playoff quarterfinals. So they've put their focus on it being one of the New Year's Six, which back at that time they were not, but they're now New Year's Six, and they have since become a college football playoff quarterfinal site. That's what we want to continue to build upon. So long answer to your question, but I don't think you will see that from us in terms of trying to add a basketball event and then dividing our attention and being good at two things rather than being excellent at one.
All right. So let me ask sort of a bit of a follow up to that, to kind of, because I know it's been put out there in other places. Given the close relationship that you have built with the MEAC and SWAC, if obviously not that weekend, and we understand that weekend we want to focus on football, but is there a idea or thought or a feasibility of being able to create other MEAC-SWAC challenge type events amongst the athletic season? Sort of, in tying with the whole MEAC-SWAC organization that you've, and I know you work with these commissioners quite well, but is that something that is a possibility down the road?
And another good question. You guys are asking great. The answer to that is anything is possible, and we kind of have to, all of us, when I say all of us, collectively, the two conferences, ESPN events and ESPN, and have to consistently look at the landscape and see what makes sense and where it could fit. Because again, television windows matter, and you want to be, the broader. We don't want to put something together and it's on View Network. If we're going to do it, and we're going to do it with the conferences, then we want to come to the table with something that delivers the total live audience that we want, to give it true impact. We never want to do something just for the sake of doing it, never. But we want to do it. If we do, and we do it strategically, and I believe there's a lot of opportunity out there to make that happen. But we want to do.
That's a great point. I'm glad you said that. That's key. All right, Drew, go ahead.
Final question.
Yeah.
From the chat. Once again from Michael, Mr. Grant. Are there any groups, incentives, discounts for any interested organization, HBCU alumni, and or businesses interested in helping you fill up the seats with folks not affiliated with the team's plan?
Very, very good question. We don't offer what you would call like group discounts. Keeping in mind for us, the goal is we want to make sure we're paying the teams. And you can't pay the teams by selling by giving your tickets away or so that how do we generate something where we, all of us collectively, fans or otherwise, recognizing we're doing this to our HBCU programs. And since 2015, I can just say since 2015, just the Celebration Bowl alone has generated nearly $20 million to HBCU programs. And the MEAC-SWAC challenge, when you combine those two together, you're up there near about $35 million since that within that same uh, window. Well, 2018 when you add that together. So long answer to your question, Road Dog, but we ask you to come support. You can get group tickets, but they're not discounted. Um, because again, our goal is to make sure we are reinvesting back into our HBCU institutions.
All right.
Well said.
We know your time is valuable, Mr. Grant. So we're going to give you the opportunity to close this out with anything that you want to put out there that Bryan or myself did not get an opportunity to ask.
Well, if you're interested, certainly we want people to go to our website at MEAC-SWACchallenge.com. Go to the website to get your tickets, MEAC-SWACchallenge.com. Don't go to StubHub, don't go to SeatGeek, etc., because you're going to pay a higher price than you would by going direct through MEAC-SWACchallenge.com. But for those fans who enjoy going to SeatGeek, and you can feel free to do so. But we ask you to go there for information, tickets, etc. And the final point I want to make, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you and all of your counterparts out there who have every year consistently kept the lights on, not just for what we're doing with the Cricket MEAC-SWAC Challenge and Cricket Celebration Bowl. And we failed to talk about our Red Lobster Band of the Year. The national championship we launched there for HBCU marching bands coming now into its third year. That event creates an opportunity for band programs to now pursue national championships and to also, we have a significant payout that goes directly to the band programs that earn their way to Atlanta to participate in that event. So that happens on Friday night, the week before. The Friday before Celebration Bowl. This year to be on December 12th. So stay on the lookout for that, because at the Cricket MEAC-SWAC Challenge game, we are kicking off the launch of the Band of the Year season with Southern University and with North Carolina Central. And I tell you, Southern, I've talked to both band directors. They're hyped. They're both hyped. But Southern, this is going to be the first time since they played in the Super Bowl. And they are excited to come and show off their stuff at this year's game. So visit MEAC-SWACchallenge.com for information and specifically tickets. And again, thank you all for keeping the lights on. When no one else was looking, you guys talked about us, and please keep up the good work.
Well, Mr. Grant, I mean, look, speaking on behalf of the defending Band of the Year champions, the Florida A&M University Marching 100, everyone in the SWAC is chasing this year. So we look forward to defending our title this upcoming year. So we are excited about not only bringing the 100 back to Atlanta, but bringing the Rattlers to Atlanta as well. See, there you go. I'm done. I'm gonna get the chat room fired up. There you go.
You should lead, but you should see the championship rings.
I saw it. I saw it. It's beautiful.
I was so excited because that reaffirmed what we were hoping. We were hoping, just as you get a championship ring for your football program, that Florida A&M had championship rings, marching 100, beautiful rings. North Carolina A&T had their championship last year. They got beautiful rings for their championship program. And then Miles College. I mean, they not only championship rings, but they did a nice video presentation of their champion, being the national champions of the Red Lobster Band of the Year. And I saw it pop up in the chat. Make sure you go to Red Lobster to get that seafood boil. I've had it. It's wonderful. And we're going to support the companies that support what we do to reinvest back into our HBCU programs and our young people. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you, Mr. Grant. You know, I had to get the chat room fired up, but that's all right. They're chasing us. They're chasing us. We're Blueblood in the band. Oh, let me not go there. I don't want to get serious about that. It's gonna be one of those shows today, Mr. Grant. I just had to do it.
Well,
all right. Hey, thank you again for your time.
They are the national champion.
Yes,
so
we are.
The football team couldn't get back. They couldn't get back last year to repeat, but the band came in and took up the slack. So I got to give them credit for that. I mean, you're a national champion either way.
There you go. See, there you go. It's all SWAC love. There you go. All right. Thank you for your time tonight, Mr. Grant. Be well. We'll see you in a few weeks up in the at Atlanta for the 2025 Cricket Wireless MEAC-SWAC Challenge kickoff between North Carolina Central and Southern University. Look forward to it. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you for having me, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
Appreciate you, Mr. Grant.
All right. Good stuff. All right. See, I couldn't resist being a little messy there at the end.
Oh, you couldn't resist. Before we go to break, let's talk about some of this mess so we can go ahead and close this segment out.
Oh my gosh. Go ahead. Oh, what's this? Oh man. Anyway. All right. Look, Israel even said we're going to win it back to back. See, look, it's a Jackson State guy. Oh, okay. I thought he was conceding defeat before the season already started. And I was trying to find a picture of those beautiful championship rings. I'm gonna have them up for y'all at the end of the break, just in case you didn't see the Marching 100 beautiful championship ring. Yeah, I'll make sure. What else we got, Drew? All right,
man. Let this what we got, Ryan.
Woo! All right. Coming up after the break, we are asking the question, but more importantly, we are going to answer the question for you, and we're coming with data. Facts over feelings. That's the theme of the show today. Facts over feelings. So I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want any feelings. It's all love. We love all.
Brian, considering one particular institution that likes to frequent our show on Sunday, some feelings gonna get hurt.
Somebody, well, it might be more than a few. It might be more than a few feelings that get hurt, and it's not us. I just want to be clear, okay? The data is what the data is.
Yes, this is real data. This is real data. This is real, quantifiable. This is quantifiable data.
I can't wait. Israel, because you will be one of the first people that I will be looking for in my mentions. I can't wait for you to see the data that we have gathered up. Huh?
Real Southern B?
Look, all of the nominees are on the screen. I mean, literally, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All of the 7 nominees are on the screen. But 7 nominees is a bit much. That's all I'm going to say. All right, you keep saying you don't know what we're talking about. We are going to give, because it's not just throwing up a graphic. It's not throwing up a graphic. We're going to actually put data behind it, actual measurements. Now, you could create your own measurements. Travis is just being messy. I'm ignoring Travis right now. You can create your own metrics, and that's perfectly fine. Some of y'all will be just as content to think you want to make a Blueblood what you've done in the past 20, 25 years. Although, if we do that, some people will really get left off. So, hey, I'm just saying now, be careful about what you ask for. Oh, yes, I saw somebody. Yes, there's comparative data too. How deep do we go back with this data, Drew? Just give them a taste. Give them a tease. How many years
back 100 years? We're back
Almost
100 years.
100 years. That's all I'm going to say. Let's take that next break.
Last comment, and we go to break.
What's that?
From the
There you
dean
go.
himself.
There he is. There it is. No lies being told. Facts over feelings coming up. Right after this break, you're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. Thank you to Mr. John Grant. Make sure you guys check out, go get your tickets, MEAC-SWAC challenge.com. Good results in the chat room. I think over 62% of you guys have answered. Well, that was a different question, I think. What question was that I asked? Yeah, go to break, Drew, so we can come back out and get into this conversation.
Ask them while we're on break, how many of you guys will be watching the Cricket MEAC-SWAC challenge for those of you all who will not attend?
All right, so okay, sounds good. Well, I'm trying to find the last poll. Okay, go ahead and go to break because I'm trying to find where was the last poll. Okay, I know what that last one was. All right, good deal. All right, let's go to break. We'll be back in just a minute right here on the BCSN Sports Wrap.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC-SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEAC-SWACchallenge.com.
It's like a loop machine. Going around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and A.D. here. Drew, hold on. Let me pull something out. I want to just show people, just in case you didn't see them. That's what they look like. The championship rings, Band of the Year 2024, Marching 100. See, Jackson State, Sonic Boom came up a little short in the first year. I know the Human Jukebox was chasing last year. Maybe one of those two great bands will get an opportunity to get to Atlanta and maybe even win. But right now, it's the incomparable Marching 100 that has the rings. So I just wanted everybody to see it. And, If you do like what those great funds will go towards your band program. And I saw said Walker, I appreciate the reminders that you're dropping in the chats about supporting our HBCUs. See, when you fund and support our HBCUs and our auxiliary programs like your bands and things of that nature, your school too can one day achieve this type of greatness with jewelry for the young men and women that bring all the beautiful sounds that we enjoy hearing. So there you go. All right.
Wow, Brian.
I'm
There were
selling
32
today.
comments while we were on break, Brian.
I got people fired up.
I came back. I'm like, oh my God. And a couple of y'all actually said some interesting stuff. But it's just a couple I gotta point out.
You the star in a couple. Hold on.
All right. In theory, Yale is a blue blood at FBS if you use the 100 years time frame. That's not accurate though. Let's put a pin in that comment. I'm gonna rebut that.
Still, wait a minute. Do they understand that where Yale is?
Well, let's just start with the basics. To be a blue blood means that your program has history, good or bad. You have to have history. So I think 100 years is a good number to start with. 3 of our 4 conferences are over 100 years old, Brian.
Yes, they are.
So
they are.
You have to quantify that history. You have to actually go back to even think about what you're talking about with blue bloods. Georgia State football, for those who follow it, can never be a blue blood on the FBS level, on the FBS or the FCS level when it was 1AA, despite all the championships that they've won. Is North Dakota State? Would you put them on a blue blood conversation for FCS and 1AA?
No.
They don't have the history.
No.
So
they may have the wins, but
they don't have the history.
The history, right?
They don't have the multiple generations. And if we want to use the FBS analysis, the Alabamas have the multiple years of generations. The USCs have.
Hold on. Let's get into it because you're pointing at. Let me come with. So again,
hold up. I got one more comment. The mythical national championship without context.
Oh God, we educate today, so we got to educate. In
case you don't know, we've only had the Celebration Bowl around for 10 years. So anything before 2015, I don't care how you do it, it's mythical. Undefeated, 1 loss, 20 losses, I don't care. Anything before 2015 is considered mythical. Just like on the FBS level, before the Bowl Coalition that came along originally in the 90s or whatever it was, anything before that was mythical, and that was controversial.
Let's go back. Hold on. But on that level, you got to say they didn't start having a playoff until when? That 4-team playoff that started in 2015? Correct. Isn't it ironic what you just said? So technically, even in the FBS level, there hasn't been a playoff to determine a national championship or champion until 2015.
Yes.
So it's very important. And this is the thing that I think gets lost on a lot of people. You have to understand the history of college football. College football, unlike basketball, unlike baseball, unlike all these other NCAA sports, has at the major level. Now, yes, at the Division 1AA level / FCS, 1978 was the first year of an actual playoff.
Who won that?
Don't get me started. I want people hating me.
Full context.
Okay. But I'm just saying
only one ever won. by an HBCU.
But people think it's feelings, Drew. It's not. It's facts.
This is fact.
Certain facts you can't deny, even though some of y'all hate to acknowledge them. I get it.
You can't be a blue blood in 2025 with most of your success ended over 50 years ago. Is Kentucky still a blue blood in basketball?
Well, hold on. Let me say something, because
is North Carolina still a blue blood in basketball? When last time North Carolina won a basketball championship?
Let me put something up. That statement that was just said, have any of these programs not had success over the past 50 years? They've all had success in the past 50 years to some degree. Okay? So let's stop the madness, guys. Let's stop it. Stop it. Just sit back and let us present the argument, and then we'll go from there, Drew. Okay? Let's just present what we have, and then we'll go from there. Okay? All right. So, and we're talking football here. I know a lot of people will when you hear blue bloods, a lot of times blue bloods is a term that is commonly talked about amongst basketball. I see Zach and Steven talking about Carolina and Kentucky. Those are basketball blue bloods. That term you don't hear the term blue bloods tossed around very often in football. I personally don't. Okay. So it is fascinating when the whole conversation came out about, championships. Okay. Again, when this little beauty popped up on the internet, right, it got people talking. Now, my personal first thought when I saw this, and I want to just go with personal thoughts when you first saw it, Drew. Let's start there. Okay. Again, the way this was categorized, and we can all presume and assume that it's ChatGPT, right? Or some sort of AI. Okay. Again, for those of you who are a little late to the show, just tuning in, all you got to do is look at some of the logos, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, well, it's ChatGPT. This AI. This wasn't designed. This wasn't designed by a true graphics person or even somebody with a little bit of Canva skills." Okay, this is GPT at its finest. Okay, but how they define blue bloods: the most historically dominant and iconic HBCU football programs. Okay. Now, then they break it down into three additional tiers after that. A tier 1, where they say rich legacies, multiple titles, and strong regional recognition. Tier 2, competitive programs with moments of excellence. Interesting. And then tier 3, limited football success historically, smaller budgets, or inconsistent performance. Limited football success historically, smaller budgets, or inconsistent performance. I don't think there wasn't a fourth tier, was there?
No.
Okay. All right. Now, first thought when I saw this, Drew, was, Tennessee State is not a blue blood? That was the first thought that I was drawn to. What was the first thought you were drawn to when you saw this?
Where the hell is Tuskegee?
There we go. Okay.
And y'all, some of y'all gonna say this is only Division I's, FCS, whatever.
Exactly. That's the second thing that comes out of this is when you look at all of this, you say, "Oh, well, wait a minute. This is only taking into consideration current Division I athletic programs."
Say that word again. Say that word again.
Division I current programs.
Right. So when you go back into your Wayback Machine and think about it, all of our institutions at one point in time were independent when neither the NAIA nor the NCAA would allow us to compete. Then the NAIA opened up to us. Then we were, and Steve mentioned it earlier in his comment, we were all in the college division. You know, I wasn't alive to remember it, but I was technically alive when conferences such as the SIAC had a Division I and a Division II in the SIAC, which would have been considered large and smaller.
Right.
So until 1978, we were all in the same pot.
Mm-hmm.
Most of our success, no matter how you classify these blue bloods, occurred when we were all in the same pot. So for you to leave the winningest HBCU football program off of that list is disrespectful. And we'll show you the data to prove
All right.
And, you know, so we went there. Now, I'll just take it one step further. North Carolina Central. You don't even have 20 years at the FCS level. Norfolk State, Alabama A&M, UAPB, Hampton. You guys didn't go to the FCS or then 1AA level until the 90s. And I'm pretty sure that I left somebody out who also made that jump in the 90s. But those four off the top of my head. So you're barely one generation old. So we have to include Division IIs and NAIAs in this discussion. Because who can't not forget the run Central State had in the 80s and 90s, starting under Billy Joe and then Coach Rick Comagee. So who can't forget about the success that Winston-Salem State had? So we have to include everybody when we talk about, yes, we do. Because if that's the case, if you want to go from 1978 on, we're going to hurt some feelings on here. Are y'all ready for that? Are y'all ready for that discussion? Are you ready to go from 1978 on?
Facts over feelings.
So I'm going to hurt some feelings if you want to go from 1978 on.
All right. Let's get into first defining how we look at what a blue blood is.
Conference championships don't matter when we're talking about blue bloods. We're talking about natties. You have part of the blue blood definition is national recognition. We don't care who the best person at the playground.
Okay, so in looking at and trying to put data to this, we came up with these things that make your program a blue blood. Okay, sustained success, and we're going to break down each of these categories in a second, but I'm just putting it out here. Sustained success, national championships, historical significance, elite coaching and players, national recognition, fan engagement and support, and resources and privileges. Now, with all honesty here, the one that Drew and I both kind of looked at in this list and were kind of like, yeah, we're all in the same boat when it comes to resources and privileges. Because we don't have a lot, we don't have as much of it as other schools that exist in the college athletic space, right? Like, I mean, are we really going to compare the budgets of within just one conference? I mean, for example, if we just talk about the SWAC, there's such a difference between Southern and Mississippi Valley State, almost like a $14 million difference in operating budget, right? But that's still 18 mil that Southern has is peanuts compared to some other institutions just alone in FCS. And we're not even going to talk about FBS. Okay. So
we're going to throw 7 out.
We're going to throw 7 out. Resources and privileges. Okay. So the first thing that we have to do, that number one is, I think, so important. Sustained success. Okay. Sustained success. And we told you what we tried to do is we went back and looked at over the last 100 years, going even as far back as the 30s, 1930s. Yes, they played football in the 1930s. Again, how long? We have 3 conferences that have over 100 years of history. Okay. So when we talk about sustained success, we had to look at it from a decade by decade vantage point. And what we tried to do is say, okay, from 1930 to the end of the most recent decade, which is the 2010s, that's about 8 to 9 decades of data. Okay. How would we define success, Drew? In sports, you determine whether you had a winning season based on what percentage mark?
500 or better.
Okay. So what we're looking for is, amongst these programs, how many of these programs had winning decades, how many winning decades, and what was not just the total wins, but the win percentage. 2 different things here, because I think it's very important to kind of take into consideration wins and win percentage.
Especially when you consider back in some of those earlier decades, there were like 8, 10 game schedules.
Correct. Right. Okay. So how many winning decades did your program have? Okay. So we did this based off 9 decades. Everybody's got 9 decades to look at. We're not including the 2020s, even though you're going to see data that shows you the 2020s. It is not, because the decade is not complete, everybody, right? We're only halfway through the decade. So
not even halfway through.
We're not officially halfway through it. So you'll see the data about this current decade, but it's not. Okay. All right. So here we go. Let's start with the first program, because we know you guys get excited when you see this team, right? Let's start with, who's our first team up, Drew?
Oh, I thought you had it. All right.
I got it. It is Florida A&M University. I just a dramatic effect. So there's the breakdown of decades. Florida A&M, beginning in the 30s through the 10s, have had 8 of their 9 decades have been over 500. In fact, if you really dig deep, okay, outside of the 2010s, we know that was the Valley, right? That was the 9 years in a row of losing to Bethune. That's how we know that decade was bad. but outside of that decade, every other decade from Florida A&M was above 500. The leanest years was the 80s, right? That was the leanest, but everything else was above 600, or, even the 2000s, you had a 570 percentage. Okay. You can see the record, 637 total wins, a 658 win percentage. That's pretty good. Okay. Let's go to the next team. Any questions regarding Florida A&M, Drew? Anything? Now notice, when was the Gaither era? When was the Jake Gaither era?
Jake Gaither era would have been the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Right. The 40s, 50s, and 60s. That's the Jake Gaither era. Okay. And some, maybe a hair of the 70s, or more. 70s was definitely
69. He retired in 69.
Okay, great point. Okay. All right. And of course, the 70s, you had the Rudy Hubbard era. The 90s, you had the Billy Joe era.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Billy Joe and Ken Riley.
Billy Joe and Ken Riley. Exactly. Okay. Let's go to the next school. The next school, the you love. Jackson State. I'm not going to say because but anyway, Jackson State University, right? Okay. Now, Jackson State, beginning in the 30s, now, they had 6 of 9 of the decades that are being considered where they were above 500. Okay. Now, I technically in this, I don't think, let me see. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 6 of 9. Okay. And Jackson State fans, you all will know. You all will. I've heard Charles Bishop talk about it. The 2000s and the 2010s, maybe outside of a blip from a season or two of success.
They had the one run on the Comedy.
Yeah, there was your valley. There was your valley. Turn of the century. But they were great. There were great eras in the 70s and 80s, right? And that's why it's always interesting hearing Charles Bishop talk about how great it was growing up a Jackson State fan. Well, guess what? The Jackson State fans that are in their 40s and 50s, you guys grew up watching Jackson State football in the 70s and 80s. When look what you were winning. You were winning at a 70% clip. Okay. But again, total wins, 517, win percentage right at 600. Okay. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Again, 6 of the 9 decades above 500. 6 of 9. Okay. All right, let's move over to the next school. Grambling State University. Grambling State. Grambling State, 8 of 9 decades, a win percentage above 500. 8 of 9. Eddie Robinson began coaching Grambling when? In the early 40s?
42, I believe, was the year. Somebody help me out with that. I know it was the war.
Well, I would say from that point on, you can see the change that came to Grambling after the 30s. From the 40s all the way until, even towards the end of the 90s, even in the 90s, right? And then you had the 2000s was a good run. 2010s were just below 60%. Yeah, it's been tough over the last 5 years at Grambling.
Good thing we're not counting it.
Yeah, but look at the total wins. 608, win percentage, 649. That's pretty good. Pretty doggone good. That's 8 of 9 decades for Grambling State. 8 of 9 winning decades. Let's go to the next school, Drew. Their rival in that beautiful state of Louisiana, Southern University, the Jaguars, right? Look at this. The Jaguars have never experienced a decade since 1930. Now, we don't have before. Hold on. What's Doc's question there? Because it's covering up the data. What's he saying?
I'll come back to it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Southern has never had a decade since 1930. We don't have the data before 1930. Okay. Where they have had a losing decade. Every decade from Southern, 9 for 9. 601 wins, a win percentage of 617. That's the best of the 4 schools I've shown you thus far. Best of what I've shown you. FAMU had 8.
As far as that,
Jackson State had 6. Grambling State had 8. Yeah. Southern 9.
But 2 of those schools had higher winning percentages than Southern.
That's true. Overall. That's true. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next school now. Another school on that tier. The South Carolina State University Bulldogs. Interesting numbers here by South Carolina State, Drew. Another 9 for 9. 9 decades. Not one decade below 500. I mean, there's been some, and all of them are pretty close to 60%, Good, very good numbers, respectable numbers. Never a losing decade.
I don't think we've had anybody under 60 so far.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not what I've shown you. Nope.
Yes.
Win percentage 610, 61%. 550 total wins. First school that's below 600 total wins that I presented, right? Other than Jackson State, first school below 600 wins. 9 for 9. Pretty good. All right, let's go to another school on a lot of people's tongues. Now, this is the one that I was most shocked by about not being on that blue blood list. Tennessee State University. 7 of their 9 decades since 1930 have been above 500. What's really impressive, now notice the 90s and the 2000s, right? Below 500. But what's really interesting, Drew, look at the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, all above 60%. I don't think any of the other schools mentioned had a run like that. That's pretty impressive. Okay. 7 of 9, 581 total wins, 639 win percentage. Don't be so quick, Steve, to take them off. This is just one factor. Don't be so quick. You may come back and change your mind. All right. Let's go to the next school. North Carolina A&T State University. A lot of people have a lot of thoughts about North Carolina A&T. Now, North Carolina A&T, 6 of the 9 decades below 500.
You said
Same
below?
as Jackson State. I said
You
below,
said
below 500. Below 500.
Ooh.
The 40s, the 2000s, and I'm sorry, the 40s, the 80s, and the 2000s.
And the 10. All right, yeah.
We're not counting the 2020s. Don't count the 2020s.
So that's 3.
3. So 6 of 9.
Yes.
Okay. Same as Jackson State. Okay. Just below Tennessee State. All right. Now, the next one, your school, your beloved university that was left off this list, Tuskegee University, Drew. Now, this is only from 1930. Tuskegee, 7 of the 9 decades were above 500. 596 total wins, 620 win percentage. But what's kind of interesting about this number and this data about Tuskegee from the 30s, Drew?
If you look at this, 596 wins. Tuskegee currently at 719 wins. That means they had 120 plus wins before this graphic even shows. It was 100 up on everybody, just about.
Take that in consideration.
Take that into consideration.
Again, so
put a little
asterisk by this. Tuskegee being the winningest football program in HBCU, the only school with 700 career wins. Again, we're only showing you from the 30s, right?
Yes.
Yes. Steve said it right there. The 20s were a heck of an era for Tuskegee. Maybe even the 10s.
No, it wasn't the 10s.
Was it the 20s?
It was the 20. They started in the 20s with the dominance.
Well, look, I mean, they were playing 109 games in the 1930s. So if they played even close to that number in the 20s, that means they probably never lost any of those games. That's a heck of a run. The 20s might have been the greatest decade of football in any HBCU era. Just saying.
Brian, can I take this one step further?
Sure.
I just got to bring this out. If you look at the 2010s, and the 2010s, 77 and 34. Mm-hmm. Can you believe they lost 10 of those games within a 2-year span? They went 5-5 in 2018 and 2019. So if you think about that run in the 2000s through 2017, think about that, Brian. That's a 17-year stretch. And I don't think we've seen a higher win percentage in a decade than that 855, Brian.
Right. The 1929 team, 9-0, outscored 249-45. Insane. Yeah. So let me just.
That's not on the list. That's not on the list.
Again, we didn't go into the 20s. We didn't go that far. Okay. The data, we went with as much data as we could gather.
Quickly.
Okay. So let me do the quick summary here. Decades, the decades. 9 out of 9 decades, who is at the top of the list? Well, Southern, 9 out of 9. South Carolina State, 9 out of 9. Florida A&M, 8 out of 9. Grambling State, 8 out of 9. Tennessee State, 7 out of 9. Tuskegee, 7 out of 9. Jackson State, 6 out of 9. North Carolina A&T, 6 out of 9. Okay, that's decades. Now, let me do a little summary here for everybody. So, what does that summary look like? Top 5. Top 5, ranked by wins from 1930. Top 5. There you go.
You got top 5. All right.
Florida A&M, Grambling State, and Southern. Only 3 schools with 600-plus wins from the 1930s to currently, followed by Tuskegee and Tennessee State. But just in case you're not sold on wins, let's go to win percentage. Win percentage since 1930. Florida A&M, 65.8%. Grambling, 64.9%. Tennessee State, 63.9%. Tuskegee, 62%. Southern, 61.7%. South Carolina State, 61%. And Jackson State right at 60%. Kind of interesting how that works out, doesn't it? Again, answering the question, sustained success. So when you look at sustained success, Drew, okay, and we go back to the eternal question of blue blood, do you leave anybody off?
Right now,
based on sustained success?
Right now, you have to leave everybody on the list right now, based on sustained success. Because in their 100-year history, they are above the Mendoza line, which we're calling 500. 600 is better than 500, but they at least get into the room with the 500 record. Now, let's go to, before we move on to the next one, Brian, we go through some chats right quick.
I don't want to talk about Johnny's points, but I understand where Johnny and I had a conversation. I understand what Johnny's trying to do. So, okay. Thank you, Johnny, for your contribution. I don't know. I don't know. The doctor's referring to something that EA said, so I don't know.
Well, that kind of goes back to what I was saying about we were independent before joining the NAIA and before we became NCAA. So Doc was just reiterating that point.
Okay.
Chuck brings out a thing. W.C. Gordon came head football coach at Jackson State in 76 and official in 1977. And I was off 1 year with Eddie Robinson. It was 1941.
Okay.
Steve says TSU is a candidate for losing its blue blood status. We will soon find out.
Where did I make a mistake? I didn't leave JSU. Did you not see the data?
Exactly.
Did you not see the Cedric is just being? We hadn't even got to the national championship yet part, but that's all right. I don't know. Look, Desmond said that, not me. Desmond said it. Don't get after Desmond Allen in the chats. I didn't say it. He just
they did.
Hold on, Edwin. Hold on. Let me go back.
It was just, go ahead.
Edwin's being messy. I just put them in order, Edwin. Hold
Alphabetical.
on. Not alphabetical.
Well, the original was alphabetical.
Based on what? Based on what, Drew? I put them in order based on what? Wins and win percentage. See, again, facts over feelings. This is where some of y'all get upset. You want to be emotional about this, but I'm trying to. Don't get mad at me because the school that I went to is at this list. I want to show love to as many as we can. Don't make this personal. This isn't personal. I'm just presenting the facts.
That's why he did not wear green and orange, and I did not wear crimson and gold today.
I'm wearing Pacer gear today. I'm totally non-college affiliated today. I'm just presenting facts.
Let's move on to number 2, Brian.
All right. Number 2, national championships. Ooh, buddy. Now, again, let's be clear about something. College football forever and a day, up until 2015, okay, some media entity has recognized a school based on their performance as a national championship. That's the history of college football. From that point, it's the school that decides to either claim that championship or unclaim it. Again, let me be clear about that. Prior to 2015, and definitely prior to 1978 in the FCS level, but prior to 2015 at the major level, and even within our HBCU diaspora, news entities recognize the success of athletic teams. And yes, there were bowl games such as the Orange Blossom Classic that came around and would sort of be a matchup between the two best teams of the era and let them decide it, right? But there was no playoffs. Prior to 78, there was no playoffs in major division football. And it took, somebody do the math between 2015 and 1978. I don't know, what is that, 40 years? It took 40 years for FBS Division 1A to create a playoff system with 4 teams, right? Now they have a 12-team playoffs. People still not happy, but anyway, right? So let's be clear about national championships. So when we say national championships, we're talking within the HBCU football space, claimed and unclaimed. Now, Drew and I both kind of have a similar thought about this. What's that thought, Drew, about national championships?
At this point, since we're going back 100 years, you have to have had double-digit national championships to get into consideration on this. Now, mind you, Brian, there have been, count over the years, there have been 52 organizations that have named an HBCU national champion.
Wow, 52.
It is up to your individual institution to open the mail when you receive.
Hey, there you go. Bingo.
You know that's a big. Hey, you know that's a bill from your credit card company. Whether you open it up and pay it is up to you. But there have been 52 organizations, including some organizations such as Sheridan. I mean, we'll talk about things such as the Heritage Bowl, the Vulcan Bowl, Jet Magazine, Sports Illustrated, Dr. Cavill, Black College Sports Network. I did say the Celebration Bowl, correct?
Yeah.
So, all kinds of organizations have named national champions. How about this one? The Baltimore Afro-American. You ever heard of them?
Are they still? They're probably not even around anymore.
But they named champions back in the 40s and 50s. Somebody claimed it.
I mean, yeah.
The Associated
Pittsburgh Courier
Press. Yeah, Pittsburgh Courier. The Sheridan Broadcast Network.
Mm-hmm.
American Urban Radio.
See, again, some of you guys,
Sheridan
again,
Poll.
we're just presenting this. This is, do the research. If you don't believe, do the research. It's there. We're not pulling it out of the air. We're not making it up. So, I mean, it's there. The data is there. It's not hard to find if you really want to go and do it. We're presenting it to you to try to educate and have a little fun, sure, but it's all there.
Cedric, I'm a data freak. Send it to me. Send it to me, my brother.
So, double-digit wins, right, Drew? That's what you said.
Double-digit.
There's only 5 schools that have double-digit national championships. Let me just stop in the chat for a second. I'm gonna give you guys a minute in the chats and see if you can list the 5 schools that have 10 or more Black college football national championships. Go. 5 or more. There's 5 schools that have had 10 or more national championships. Let me see if I can pick out the first person to get them right.
All 5.
All 5 schools. The data is there. Sure, if some of you want to go Google it real quick, you can. Tick tock, tick tock.
Here we go.
Kelvin, incorrect.
There it is, right there.
First one in. First one to get it right. First one to get it right. Desmond Allen also got it right.
We know you know, Doc.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, just for
Yes.
conversation purposes,
Yes.
let's drop the bid, though, since 16 is the most with Florida A&M and Tennessee State.
Mm-hmm.
Let's drop the mid-dose line to half of those. Let's drop the mid-dose line down to 8 and see if anybody knows those other institutions at between 8 and 10.
Well, okay, let's make sure people know the 5 again. You saw the 5. The
Florida
numbers, though. Florida A&M and Tennessee State with 16.
Grambling 15.
Grambling State 15.
Tuskegee 13.
Yep.
And Southern 11.
Okay.
Who are the 3? I even give them the number, Brian.
Those are the only ones with double digits.
Those are the only ones with double digits. But there are 3 or more who have half as much as Florida A&M and Tennessee State.
8 or more.
Know those 3.
8 or more. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, 8 or more.
8 or more. Okay. I will confess that I don't know who those 8, who are those 3 schools. So I'm going to play along with everybody else. Let's see. 8 or more. I want to say where is Hampton?
They did not make the Mendoza line.
Not make 8, not Hampton.
They were close.
Close.
They're at 7.
Okay. Is ODB's got Central State, A&T, and Morgan. I feel like he might have at least one in there.
He's 2/3 of it.
2 of the 3 are right.
Yeah. You probably know also, Travis.
But guess who's not one of those, Travis? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. That was petty. That was petty. South Carolina State. Kelvin?
That's the 3rd one.
All right. So who are the 3? Who are the
South
3?
Carolina State with 8.
Okay.
A&T with 8. And Central State.
A&T and Central
with
State.
8.
Okay. Interesting.
So
well, Travis said, now hold on. Travis says if we're counting all 52 organizations, we have 8. Well, you know.
But they have to be in different years, Travis. You can't get all of them in one year.
All right. It's 1 year. Like if 3 but you know, this would score me. Now, if Jackson State were smart, they probably got some unclaimed championships that they might want to start putting on their in their documents. Travis, you might want to start including that in your press
Game
information. Game notes. Yeah, just put a little asterisk and just say unclaimed. You know, whatever. You know, you might get close to 8 then. All right.
I know there's one out there they don't claim.
Well, I mean, you know, it's too painful, I guess. But, you know, it is what it is. Look, Israel, see, pride. Pride will get you nowhere, Israel. Pride will get you nowhere.
Pride don't get you in the door of room number 2. Let's move on.
Exactly. Moving on.
Moving 3.
On. Okay. Historical significance. Now, when Drew and I had looked at this, so historical significance, we talk about programs that have played a major role in shaping the history of college football. So I think what we're talking about when we talk about historical significance, Drew, we're talking about players that have gone on to be the best and recognized as the best. And this almost falls into like 3 and 4
together.
Yeah, 3 and 4 almost come in together because we looked at this and said Pro Football Hall of Famers that went to HBCUs, College Football Hall of Famers that went to HBCUs. We might even look at the Black College Football Hall of Fame, which is in, I think, its 16th year of recognizing Black college football excellence. Notice there's over 100 years of Black college football, right? They've only been around for 16 years. So they're not even up to the last 15, 20 years of guys, correct?
Yeah.
How about also thinking about the numbers of players who were in the AFL and NFL? How about guys that were drafted into the AFL and NFL? Okay. So this was the data point that was kind of the hardest to really gather. And I'll be fully transparent here, right? Because some of it is easy to gather, others is a little tougher, you know? So, you know, if we talk about the Hall of Fame and starting that high, right? And if my numbers are incorrect, I will apologize here. But, you know, when we talk about Black College Football Hall of Famers,
I know 2 schools at the top of that list, Brian.
Grambling State, Jackson State.
Those are the 2.
Morgan State, South Carolina State. If I'm not mistaken, all 4 of those schools have at least 4 people. Do they have more than 4? Can anybody tell me if Grambling, Jackson State, Morgan, and South Carolina State have more than 4? I think they all have 4 equally. Southern has 3 players in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Tennessee State, Texas Southern, Florida A&M have 2. Right? When we start talking about the number of players that have been drafted by or played in by some of these schools, the numbers are pretty outstanding. from the 60, I'm going to use Jackson State, for example. I want to give Jackson State some love because I don't want Travis and anybody to think I'm not giving Jackson State any love, right? From the 60s and 70s, Jackson State had about 20 to 30 players that played in the NFL. In the 70s, 30 plus players, right? And that kind of coincides with what? That era that if we go back and look at that Jackson State era, let me find Jackson State.
And 80s.
Huh?
It was the 70s and 80s when they really had a high percentage.
Yeah, exactly. Look at that. 70s and 80s, right? Doesn't it kind of coincide with that era and the number of players? Grambling State in the 60s and 70s, 20 to 30 players. What does that coincide with? The 60s and 70s, that era of Grambling State football that was winning at a clip of 76 and 81%. There's a period in the 60s where Morgan State University had 15 to 20 guys. And then another 10 to 15. Morgan State wasn't even part of that list we came up with. But I felt like, I know a lot of people, when we go and look at Morgan State, like Morgan State did have a good run. It just hasn't had great success over the last 40 years. South Carolina State had a period in the 60s and 70s, right, where they had 20 to 30 players. What school would that be, Quisanova? He said in 74 they had 29 players in the NFL, which I don't know which school you represent, but so I mean there was look, all of the Blueblood programs that we listed. Okay, thank you, JSU. Okay, appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, so all of those Bluebloods had strong years. Tennessee State in the 50s and 60s and 70s, right?
Ed Too Tall Jones.
Yeah. Number 1 draft picks, Claude Humphrey. So I think all of our Blue Bloods had tremendous success during those years. So I mean, it's really hard to really. I think you could go to all of those programs and say, "Hey, you all have had great years of turning out great players into the NFL."
Even Tuskegee at two different times had I forgot my camera. So even Tuskegee at 2 different times had at least 4 players playing in the NFL simultaneously that played on the same team. They had it in the 70s. I believe they had 6 players drafted out of one of the teams in the 70s. And then we know that defensive backfield that they had in the early 2000s that had 4 players drafted on the defensive side and another 2 players drafted on the offensive side within like a 2 to 3 year span.
Right.
And that was the decade where they won 85% of their games.
Full transparency, right? You're asking for numbers for this, for that was a little harder to put together for this particular segment.
But we give it JSU as the props, so it's not like
that's why I wanted it, because if there's any group, if there's any fan base in our chat room that's gonna think that there's an agenda here, is y'all. So that's why I wanted to recognize JSU from the get-go, right? But yeah, it was a little and time just didn't allow for us to kind of put the effort in the way we wanted to, right?
National recognition.
National recognition. So when we go to national recognition, we're talking about widely known and respected throughout the country, often with large, passionate fan bases, right? So we start talking about national awards, All-Americans,
Can we stop right there? Can we stop right there?
Yeah.
If the award is named after somebody who coached or played at your school, you automatically are on this list, such as the Walter Payton Award, such as the Eddie Robinson Award, things like that, such as the Jerry Rice Award. You automatically go to the top of this list. We just want to start off with that basics.
What else? What else in there?
No, I was just saying if the award is named after an alum, you're automatically top of this list. But we talked about national awards, All-American awards, National Player of the Year, things such as that.
Right. Let's take a break for a second and come back and maybe get into the last couple of points there and then kind of answer.
No, that's not.
I mean, Valley has had players go pro.
Yeah. But the Jerry Rice Award at least gets them into the conversation. They get to the club, but I don't know if they're in the VIP.
Right. Yeah, you get into the club. You might not be in the right. You might not be in the champagne room. All right, let's take that break. You get this one, Drew, if you can. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back with more in a second. Facts over feelings with the Blueblood discussion here. I want to see your guys' opinions. Have we swayed any opinions yet? Are you moving your team in or out of the Blueblood conversation? Who is in? Who's out? The bigger question is, Drew, this isn't a Mount Rushmore conversation. I know, you know what I'm saying? When you do those Mount Rushmore things, you say
only have 4.
You can only have 4.
No.
How many teams would you qualify as Blue Bloods? How many of the 7 that we presented are technically Blue Bloods?
We'll talk about it after the break.
Talk about it after the break.
Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN SportsWrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN SportsWrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC-SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern, Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEAC-SWACchallenge.com.
Welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and A.D. here. All right, let's go to the comments. Drew, what do we got in the comments?
All right, see if I can go back to our last set of comments. Wait a minute. Okay. Edwin said when we were considering talking about the pro players, NFL multiple year Pro Bowl selection should have been something that we can say. Edwin, that's a good one. You know, and that's something we may add at a later fact. And that's something you may want to consider your own as you put your own list together if you use the criteria that we use, adding it to your list. But that is a good one that did not occur to us, Brian.
I would prefer all pro over Pro Bowl.
Okay.
To be honest, I mean, it's the same thing as if saying, okay, here's the equivalent of pro, in my opinion, Pro Bowl versus all pro. That's essentially saying somebody being selected all conference versus all American.
Right. Here's another.
I think it's great if you are all conference, no shade, but it's better when you are all American because that takes into consideration all the conferences saying that, oh, you were the best in the conference and nationally. Well, the same thing with the Pro Bowl and all pro. The Pro Bowl, you're going to get 4 to 5 guys, but only 1 or 2 can be all pro. There can only be 1 all pro quarterback, but there might be 4 Pro Bowlers.
Right.
Okay?
I like that. And here's another one that he threw out, all decade NFL players. So just something else that you guys may want to consider when you're putting together your own list. Peyton. Yeah. Deacon Jones does have an award named after him. He, so that automatically puts that institution at the top of the list also.
Mm-hmm.
Kelvin submitting his vote early. FAMU, Grambling, Tennessee State, and Tuskegee are blue bloods unquestionably. South Carolina State, Southern, and JSU are in the conversation also.
So Kelvin has decided to cap his blue bloods at 4. Okay. Interesting.
All right.
There was another one I starred up there too. There's a couple other ones.
Oh, here we go. Here's one that's interesting.
I saw that. So I appreciate that. That's great data.
Research.
Great research. Appreciate you. Cusinova. There you go. That's great. See, that's what I'm talking about. So when we talk about blue bloods, look at that. Tennessee State. And this is why I wondered when I first saw this and said, Tennessee State's not a blue blood? 122 players drafted. Grambling, 116 players drafted. Jackson State, 101. Top 3 right off the bat. That's very impressive. Southern, 83. So what? Let's see. All JSU Hall of Famers were okay.
We're not disparaging JSU. Not in that category.
Not in that
Not in that
category.
category.
Nope. Can't
No,
can't
sir.
do that. I won't do that.
The only
Not
thing
do that.
JSU is not in the money conversation on right now is national championships. Every other category, JSU is in the money.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think that's it from the comment section.
How do you factor coaches into this? You know, because that's a reach to claim players that didn't get drafted directly from your school. I don't follow.
I don't know, but I will throw my 2 cents in on that. A lot of times, especially nowadays, when you don't have the luxury of 12 and 15 rounds, you know, you look at drafted, but do they make the team? Such as the Marquise Bell, who's playing in Dallas right now. And a lot of our teams have players that go undrafted, sign UDFAs in today's modern NFL that would have been drafted in the 70s and 80s and still make the team. So you have to consider how many people played in the league. And I'm not talking about for a cup of coffee from your institution.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry. What was your question, Brian?
No, I understood. I think I understood the question about because you guys in the chat, you're doing a great job of answering it. So you've done that. I think I was going to ask about coaches.
Yes.
And when you look at the number of coaches that have been recognized nationally, I mean, what do you have? You have, I mean, and I'm going to go through the list, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, right? Or if there's a name I'm missing. When I think Tennessee State, I think John Merritt, okay. Right? When I think of Southern, you got Ace Mumford, Pete Richardson.
Okay.
Jackson State, you got W.C. Gordon.
No Coach Brian.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna do that. Stop! Don't do that. They don't even want it. They probably don't claim Rick Comedy. I don't know, but
and how many?
Just gonna say W.C. Gordon.
How many championships during that prime era? Okay.
Okay. Grambling, of course, Eddie Robinson for such a long tenure. South Carolina State, yes, Willie Jeffries and Buddy Pugh. Florida A&M, you had Jake Gaither, Billy Joe.
Do you count Rudy?
Rudy Hubbard. Well, yeah, you have to because they're college football Hall of Famers. Joe Taylor, that's 4 right there.
But most of was Taylor's success more at Hampton or FAM?
It was more Hampton, but he did have a successful run at FAMU. Okay. He won a couple of conference titles at FAM, and I think he may have even.
Was that the 01 Natty? Was that his?
No, the 01 Natty was not his. That was
Is that still Joe?
I think that was Joe. That was still Joe. Okay, there you go. That's right. I forgot John. I forgot John Merritt also counts at JSU as well. I forgot.
Yeah, Sanders doesn't count because we're not considering the 20s.
Right, but who knows? Obviously, Taylor started at Virginia Union. I get it, but Taylor in himself was successful, had successful runs at 3 different schools, right? So all of these schools, Drew. Again, that's why when I put the graphic up, I was getting there. I was going to go to because I was going to show the graphic. I was going to talk about Cleve Abbott, and then of course, more recently,
Rick Comagene,
Coach Slater.
Rick Comagene in the middle, and then Slater.
Right. So
yes, and Billy Joe was at Central.
Yeah. So I think all of these schools have the coaching and players we could do if you wanted to, again, you could take all this information and put a spreadsheet data together and say, if you wanted to assign a point system, you really could. Like, if you really wanted to go deep, and we almost went that deep, but Drew and I were like, we ain't got that kind of time. Just to be honest with you, I was like, this required a 2 weeks worth of research to be able to pull it off the way I think some of you guys would want it. We had to give you the most data that you could chew on, because digestible data, because the next level of data is that's like honors and AP level coursework.
Yeah,
we
would have nerded out.
We would have nerded some of y'all out.
Would have turned us off.
Yes, exactly. So we didn't want to go there. Let's get to the last point: fan engagement and support. Now, this is what I really think. This is interesting, because, again, look at these schools. Now, let's try not to think so within the moment of Twitter and Facebook. Go back further. Think about things such as message boards, call-in shows, tailgates. When you go on a road game or to a classic, which fan bases are the toughest to deal with? Think about it for a second. If you are a Grambling State fan, which fan base do you really despise dealing with? Is it Southern or Jackson State? If you're a Southern person, which fan base do you really despise dealing with? Florida A&M, Jackson State, or Grambling? If you're FAMU, which fan base do you really despise dealing with? South Carolina State, Southern, Tennessee State, maybe more recently Jackson State, right? And I say that because when we talk about the passion, that's how you know that you have a rabid fan base that is bought into the winning and the success, right? That's how you know. So if everybody had one school, like if you had 3 schools, like I want Southern fans, my Southern people, give me 3 schools off this list. Which schools, and I don't know if respect is the right word, but like what's tough to deal with? Because you know that they talk. You only talk when you win, right, Drew? Can we agree with that? Right? I mean, we got a few people who are Morgan State people who talk, and they ain't had success in the past 40 years.
I was still talking.
You know, I don't know about that, Zord. I don't know if everybody hates JSU. I don't know. Southern hates to see them in Munford.
I'll agree with that, Edwin.
Well, look, what's the first? You know what fan is short for, right? Fanatic. Fan is short for fanatic. So I don't know, you know, I think all of these institutions have passionate, strong fan bases because they win and have won. All right.
All right.
Let's ask the $1 million question, Drew. Right. And I'm going to bring it back to, notice when you came back to this thing, it was divided up amongst 5 schools. Right. 5 blue bloods, 5 tier 1, 5 tier 2, 5 tier 3.
Somebody missing.
I'm sure somebody's missing. They're probably on tier 4, which is not on the screen. They're down there with North Carolina A&M.
21.
Well, come on. I mean,
If
they're missing, if they're missing,
21.
Why are you worried about them? You really wonder who's missing?
Was it Valley?
No, Valley was on there.
Oh, okay.
No, it was Valley. It was Valley. You're right. It was Valley.
Valley. Wow. They didn't even give Valley their respect.
Tier 4. All right. So this is the challenge, Drew. This is not a Mount Rushmore conversation. But we like to do these things in what numbers, Drew? What's our thing? What's our number?
We've always done top 5.
We do top 5. We do pick 5s. So here's what I'll say. Give me 5, pick 5, and the next 3 will say in the conversation on tier 1 status.
Let's put the list back up. The original list. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and get this one out the way so y'all could go left in the chat. Number 1, I'm kicking JSU down and replacing them with Tuskegee. And why? Just put the one up for the criteria. Well, hold on. Let me hold on that. Let me hold on that one. I'm taking South Carolina State off before I take Jackson State off right now and replacing it with Tuskegee.
Okay.
Got to put Tuskegee on in the top 5. Jackson State actually gets replaced by Tennessee State.
Okay.
So I've got Grambling, Tuskegee, FAMU, Tennessee State, and Southern.
So your blue bloods who? Grambling, Tuskegee, Southern, FAMU, and who?
Tennessee State.
I'm gonna give you a banner, Drew, so we can keep it. There we go.
Tier 1, Jackson State, South Carolina State, and everybody, please take your colors off when you're doing this.
It's too hard to do that, Drew.
I need you have to take your colors off when you're doing it.
It's too hard to do that.
I'm looking at the data.
I'm looking at the chat. I've seen the data. I know the
Okay.
y'all in the chat.
What was I at? I said South Carolina State. I said
so that would move again because we're basing it off our graphic here of these 7 schools. So you're basically moving you're moving South Carolina State, Jackson State.
Yeah, that's it.
And you're moving those 2 down to tier 1 because we're only doing. There's 7 schools. You're moving those 2 down to
tier 1.
Tier 1.
All right, go back. Let me tell you who else is on that tier 1 line, so we can go ahead and finish out. Everybody else doesn't matter after tier 1. So Jackson State, South Carolina State. I keep A&T there.
You keep A&T on tier 1 level.
I keep A&T on tier 1 level. I add in Central State. And that's 4. This fifth one is tough, Brian. This fifth one is tough. I am torn between Hampton and Morgan for that last spot.
Let me ask you put what is your I'm curious, what is it that is intriguing about Central State? And I'm gonna give you the data here regarding Central State. Central State had 2 decades.
Two great decades.
2 great decades, the 80s and 90s.
But they put out a number of pros also during that time.
Okay.
Including as an NAIA undisputed national championships. That's tough to do. Just as Tuskegee, as Division II, won an undisputed national championship. To get that undisputed for a non-FCS, you get bonus points from me as a small school person. So there it is, Brian.
Lennon, you have a complete disregard for the winningest HBCU football program.
You have a disregard for history of these institutions that won 80% of their national championships, 70% of their wins before there was ever a Division I thought about. I have to include Division II and NAIA schools into the conversation.
Congratulations on that 5-year run in the SWAC, Jerome.
How many natties did he get out of that? During the 80s.
ODB asked what?
1985.
What? One title? 85?
Yes. 85.
Okay. Tell ODB why you dropped South Carolina State again.
Okay. Who am I going to put ahead of South Carolina? If I put South Carolina State on that line, who do I remove?
He's asking you.
No, I'm asking him. Who do I remove? I've got FAMU. I've got Southern. I've got Grambling. I've got Tuskegee. I've got Tennessee State. Who does not South Carolina State knock off?
Again, look up your history here, Sport Minds. Check the history on Tuskegee University.
I'm sorry.
Again, check the history. Joshua, we were all Division II prior to the 70s. Now, if you want to make this a conversation about the last 50, 55 years, that's a conversation that you can have. And you can do a Blueblood show of the last half century. You can do that. But we're talking a century of football because, again, we have been playing football that long.
Thank you, Doc. Oops. He limited me to 5, Doc. That's why I said, who am I replacing? If I'm stuck at 5, that's my 5. This is Drew's 5. Brian, get him off my ass. Let's get him on yours. Give me your 5.
I agree, Doc. I don't want to have to remove anybody because I think we made the valid point that all of these schools are worthy of blue blood status. I think they all are. That's one thing that has come out of this. And it's not that I didn't have an understanding, but I have a clearer picture, right? But as with anything, though, again, that's the beauty of picking 5 and having a top 5. Somebody's got to be 6 and 7.
And I weigh natties more than is a higher metric for me.
So did you hold on? Where was the hold on, let me see if I see it here. Because we've shown all the data. Let me find who was it? Who Cusinova. Appreciate you, Cusinova, doing the research on the number of players, right? Where is it? I know you started in here.
I thought I did. I might not have because it popped up. I didn't. You're gonna have to scroll back up and find it.
Damn. That was a good list. But I believe
I'll find it while you talk.
So Grambling, Southern, Florida A&M, unquestionable. Okay. Most wins, win percentage is high. Southern and Grambling in particular have not only national championships, but players that have been drafted. Okay. While Florida A&M may not have the high number of drafted players, the win percentage and the coaches who have gone on to receive national recognition, I think kind of balances out the players a little bit. Okay. So, now, look, if Florida A&M didn't have as many wins as they have and didn't have a win percentage, they might be on the bubble for me. I'll be honest. They might be, but they're not. So I don't want y'all to say that, it's because he's a FAMU guy. No, I mean, look at I go back to the data. The data showed you. Do I got to do the summary? When we pull up the summary again, Drew?
FYI, FAMU is the second win in this program all time behind Tuskegee.
What's that?
FAMU is the second win in this program behind Tuskegee.
All time behind Tuskegee.
All time.
Tuskegee would have to be my 4th team because of that very fact. Now look at the win percentage. Look at the total wins. I mean, come on now. Let's put respect on it. So then it brings me to my 5th team. And again, I'm asked to pick 5, and I got to pick 5.
Give me those 4 again, Brian.
The 4 are Southern, Grambling, Florida A&M, and Tuskegee. And I can only pick 5. I really want to pick $16-4. Oh, where is it at? I know you started. Where is it at? $122-101. 7 decades versus 6 decades. 63.9 win percentage versus 60%. I'm just presenting facts, not feelings. Because you Drew, do you think I want my mentions in my Twitter feed to just be blown up all week? I don't want that. So if this were about feelings, I would be picking a particular school. But when I just present all of those data points, I have to have Tennessee State as my number 5. I don't want my mentions to be wrecked all week. I don't want that. Because it's the first week of school. I got to be concentrating on school, so I can't be dealing with my phone. I got to put my Twitter on silent. I don't want that this week. I really don't. And again, Jackson State fans, I love y'all. I respect the hustle. I respect the game. Again, all of these schools are blue bloods. But if I had to pick 5, and I said there's only 5 blue bloods, I'm telling you those are my 5. It is. BC, it's hard to minimize that. Exactly. It's hard to minimize. So again, that's my 5.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we are better than SNL. That's funny.
Yeah, that's probably gonna be the next thing to be canceled after the Late Show was canceled. Anyway, Bryan, just so we can give people one last set of data for them to think about.
Yeah.
I got to take the thing off. Hold up. Take the
the top banner off.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. Dr. Cavill granted us permission to use this graphic that he had put together based on this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And he quantified these as heavy tier, medium tier, light tier, and he kept everything separate with the divisions because that's what our minds are trained on now, Bryan. Division 1, Division 2, major, mid-major, large school, small school, however classified. Overall, Dr. Cavill came up with 4 blue bloods. Mid-major, Tuskegee. Major division, Florida A&M, Tennessee State, and Grambling State. Weren't all 4 of those on our list, Bryan?
Yeah, all 4 of them were there.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Medium tier.
Medium tier. Who's that? Is that Southern? That's a Southern logo, huh?
That's Southern on the left. Who is that on the right, Bryan?
I don't know. Who is that?
That is Central State.
Central State. The Marauders. It's tough for people.
And then your light tier, pretty much A&T, South Carolina State, Howard, Hampton, Morgan, Prairie View, Alcorn, Jackson State. So I want to see y'all. I hope I ain't starting no mess, Doc. I bet y'all won't do Doc like y'all do me and Bryan. Y'all bet not do Doc like y'all do me and Bryan. Not if y'all want to pass this class. Jackson State. But Bryan, he took it one step further. He broke this down for us.
This is nice.
This is since we divided into
playoffs,
the tiers from the university division and the college division, where we became our FCSs. Mid-major, once again, Tuskegee, Central State. Major division. Now he's got a few more on that top line. Grambling, Tennessee State, Florida A&M, Southern, North Carolina A&T, State, Got to go back to my thing from last week, Brian. Got to throw that in there just for GP. South Carolina State and Hampton. Once again,
Hampton.
They moved up a tier, but they're not on the top tier, Brian. That would be Jackson State. Is that Bethune-Cookman sighting?
It is a Bethune-Cookman and a Rams sighting. The Rams made the discussion. Fighting Gaithers. SJG.
Bottom tier, light tier. I don't want to say bottom because I don't want to be disrespectful. Alcorn State, Howard, Central, Alabama State, Albany State, the Golden Rams, and Bowie State. Bowie State had a nice run there. Here you go, Brian. Since Dr. Gaville has started his poll in 2002.
Okay. Wow.
Grambling and A&T. Top hit too.
So for the recent, for those who only want to deal in this century era, this century.
Exactly.
This century. Those of you who want to talk about this century, here you go. This is the graphic for you guys.
Right. Recency bias has come into play.
Tuskegee
still on the list, Brian. So
WSU
who's been consistent on these lists, all three of these lists thus far at the top tier?
Tuskegee and Grambling.
There you go. I just want to make sure you're paying attention, Brian.
I see it.
Hampton, medium tier. You can see all the other ones on the Division II on the mid-major level. Bowie, Albany State. That would be Virginia State. Benedict sighting. Notice who else is on that mid-major level, Brian.
I see some Albany
North
State.
Carolina Central.
North Carolina Central, really?
Yeah. Lest we forget, Brian, Central did not make the transition until 2010.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Remember, Central and Winston-Salem was supposed to come up together.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, what could have been? What could have been?
Light tier, that would be Langston and Fayetteville. Fayetteville has had a great run over the last decade.
Yes, they have. Yeah.
Light tier, Jackson State. Y'all must forget that there were 20 years before Prime got there.
Were there?
There were 20 years in this century before Prime got there.
Everybody has a bad decade. I mean, except for Southern and South Carolina State.
Right. Yeah, they had their two consecutive. Except for the 1 year with Comanche. Hey, look who else is also down there. Because we can't forget about the 2010s if you're FAMU.
Yeah. Hey, FAMU had a bad decade. I mean, it is what it is. It's the only one. It's the only bad decade.
State. And appearing on the list on both sides of the line, Brian, is North Carolina Central. Once again, we talk about that transition. Alabama A&M, Alcorn, Bethune, Tennessee State, Alabama State. Who is that with the... Is that Texas? That's not Texas Southern, is it?
Where?
The bottom left.
That's a Prairie View. And yeah, that might be Texas Southern.
That's Texas Southern?
It might be a Texas Southern. Because remember, Texas Southern had a period when
no, I just didn't recognize the helmet.
Oh,
That's
okay.
I got you. Yeah, I didn't recognize that helmet. And in the Celebration Bowl era, Brian.
Oh, yeah, Celebration Bowl era, which is, interesting.
First time FAMU and Tuskegee and Grambling do not appear on the top line.
So for the even more recency biased view,
yes.
If you just want to really just look at the past 10 years,
the Celebration Bowl era, when we've had a true national championship, at least on the major division level, crowned on the field, and you can see them Grambling, Central, South Carolina State, Jackson State on the medium level with Benedict on the other side. FAMU on the light tier. Tuskegee, Winston-Salem, Langston, Virginia State. And on the last tier, you've got Alcorn and Hampton.
All right. And the one thing that I think whether it be hours or dots, he put there's a metric to it. If you read down at the bottom, what it's based on.
Based on a minimum, 1 Celebration Bowl win,
right.
1 Black College National Championship, multiple conference championship, and brand recognition metrics. Let's go back to the original one, Brian.
What's that?
This was the one for the whole
right
1920 to 1924. So y'all want to talk about us with 100 years? Doc went 104 years, 105 years. Based on a minimum of 5 Black College National Championships, conference championships, and brand recognition. One thing that Bryan and I did not include in our metric was the conference championships that Dr. Cavill included in his. But irregardless, the outcomes were very similar.
All right, good stuff. Look, I would love to be here for another hour, but we just can't. Some of us actually have to start work next week, Monday. But I'll tell you what, I know there are some of you that are hit me up on Twitter at DRB365. I would love to have. I know I saw Cedric Walker. Hit me up. Let's talk, because if I would love to entertain some additional data and thoughts, for next week, and I'd love to invite you on the show. I definitely, but all of this said, let's look at the big picture, because somebody asked the question, why only 5? Well, we just like 5. We do top 5. We do top 5 rankings. We do pick 5s. We like 5. We feel like, sometimes if you go 10, we're just throwing numbers out there. If we do, no disrespect to the people who rank 10 and 7 and all the other stuff. We like 5. 5 is our thing. But I will go back and I will again emphasize and say that each and every one of these 7 schools all have a claim to saying you are a blue blood. Now, your blue bloods may be a little different than ours, although I think Drew and I had the same 5, didn't we?
Yeah, yes, we did.
Damn. All right. So for our
we did not talk before the show about who.
No, we did not. For our show, we have our 5. You may choose to have 4. You may choose to do 5. I'm just, we like 5. But all 7 schools definitely have strong arguments, and I really can't. I can only present my side of it. And again, as I did when it got down to my last school, I gave you down to the either or, and why I chose who I chose. And that's at the end of the day, whenever you have these discussions, whenever these are like barbershop conversations that you would have. And hopefully you carry this forward into your spaces. And you may call us crazy. You may call us a lot of things. But we try to present as much reasoning behind why we chose our 5 as we could. So
while being entertaining.
Hopefully we were entertaining. Hopefully we didn't piss you guys off too much.
We know we did.
We maybe a little, but
somebody out there did.
Somebody's upset. It's not that serious, if somebody's that upset, look, they don't. And look, it's not going to be the reason your school is going to go on the road and beat anybody. this and that. Now there have been instances where message board chatter, Twitter chatter, YouTube chatter has gotten teams whooped up on. That's happened. That's been known to happen. That was the 90s, though. I don't know if we live in that world these days, but that happened in the 90s. And there are more than one instance where it did. Very funny. Very funny. Maybe we'll talk about it another time. So miss me on that. Somebody's coming to brag and, putting a whooping on us. If somebody comes to brag and puts a whooping on FAMU, it's because they were a better team and FAMU didn't show up. But I don't think it's going to be because we didn't rank somebody a blue blood. That would be fascinating. That would be fascinating if that came out in a quote. I'd love it, but I don't think that's why.
Yeah.
So, with all that said, great coaches, these men, great coaches, John Merritt, from left to right, John Merritt, Jake Gaither, Ace Mumford, Eddie Robinson, Buddy Pugh, Cleve Abbott. I mean, great coaches, right? Great coaches, great institutions, great football programs that these men have either built or been a part of. So, yeah.
Yeah. Only thing I'm going to say is everybody, as you put your list together, and I know you will, just leave your colors in the closet and be honest. Try to be as honest as you can and put your biases aside when you do it.
Beautiful. Hey, Jerome, you hit me up and let me know how that goes over with Coach T.C. Taylor. I'd love to hear it.
The only thing T.C. worried about is he going to be considered a blue blood for this year.
Exactly. T.C. Taylor is not, he don't care two things about whether I think Jackson State is a blue blood. Y'all are funny, though. I love it, though. Again. Oh, I can't wait until November. Was it November 1st? Is it November 1st? I can't wait for November 1st. Oh, we got so many weeks before then, though. Billy Nix. There are lots of greats. All right. This was fun. I really enjoyed this. I love the conversation.
No, it's not.
No, please. No. But hey, next week, though, we're getting into breaking down the best matchups for the college football week. We always kind of do an over-unders. And so we'll kind of go through our over-unders for the upcoming year. And I'm giving a tease here. I agree, Israel. Thank you. That's good to know. Good to know. I hope he doesn't care about my opinions. I will say this. We're going to have a Pick 5 contest throughout the course of the year. We've done it previously. Some of you have been a part of it, but not a lot. But I'm hoping that maybe these kind of shows will spur you on to want to be a part of our Pick 5 contest. A weekly HBCU football Pick 5 contest, pick 5 teams, and then let's kind of measure it up and see who picks the most correct games over the course of the season.
Brian, they're not going to do that. You know why? Because they scared we're going to be right. I don't think they got enough heart to put their money where their mouth is and put everything up against us, Brian.
We're going to find out. I will have more information.
We right more times than we wrong.
There you go.
Despite what y'all do. And you know why we right more than we wrong? Because we leave our colors in the closet when we make
facts over feelings. Facts over feelings.
Facts over feelings. You gotta leave your colors in the closet. Let's pick up the show and get out of here.
Yeah, hit the thumbs up and the like button. Even if you disagree with us, don't be a hater and hit the thumbs down button. Hit the thumbs up and the like button because you stayed this long to hear whether you think this was foolishness or entertaining or whatever. You stayed, so hit the thumbs up and the like button. We'd appreciate it. Also, the show can be found on the BCSN Pod Zone everywhere that you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, everywhere you listen to podcasts. go download the BCSN Pod Zone. Download, subscribe, rate, and review. We really do appreciate you guys. This is the start of season 9 for us. It's a pleasure to have all of you guys in the chat room interacting with us, whether you like, disagree, agree. It's all fun. Appreciate you guys. So that's all I got. Just do us that favor, if you would. Hit the thumbs up and the like button, however you're watching. And sure, if you want to share the show with your favorite coach and players, go ahead. Have at it. Just make sure you tag us at MyBCSN1, at DRB365, at BCSN Drew. Tag us appropriately on social media, and we'll have some fun with it.
Right. One last question before we get out of here.
Yeah, what you got?
When is the band competition at the vet? Depending on what the schedule is, I may come down. To watch. I don't know if the 100 will be there, but I may come down just to watch.
The 100 traveled to Jackson State for no. When's the last time that happened?
They won't even travel for a football game, let alone a band competition. I'd love to see that band competition if it's on a day that my schedule permits.
I thought, that'd be interesting. Let us know who's in that. Well said, Cedric. Football season is here. We'll talk more about the games more and more here as these upcoming weeks, and have less of these conversations about blue bloods, rivalries, tiers, rankings. Let's go. Let's talk some football. I appreciate it. Thank you. Let's pick up the show and get out of here.
31st.
August 31st. All right, there you go. Again, want to thank Mr. John Grant for joining the show. Make sure MEAC-SWAC challenge.com. Go purchase your tickets. Final question. Let me close out the poll real quick. Just looking back on the last poll question, have you downloaded SWAC TV yet? 62% of you said yes. 20% said not yet. 16% just flat out said no. I don't know what's going on with you 16%, but anyway. Here you go. Final poll questions. How will you be watching the Cricket Wireless MEAC-SWAC Challenge kickoff? Let's see. 53% said on ABC TV. 24% will actually be live in Atlanta to watch it. 16% will be streaming. And I guess 5% of you are not going to be watching. It's kind of disappointing, but okay. It's honest. Appreciate your honesty. There you go. Appreciate everybody for participating. That's going to do it for AD Drew. I'm Brian Fulford. Thank you for watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. Season 9's underway, and we're looking forward to a great HBCU football season.
Travel light, everybody. We'll holler.